Hey guys, as I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do today for the video, I just was not feeling inspired at all, just about trying to pull something out of my daily circumstances and trying to tell you guys about it. And so my wife inspired me to maybe reach into the past a little bit and maybe tell you a story of something that I learned when I was 14 years old. I went up to Canada one time. Actually, I was there twice, but I'm going to talk about the one time that I was there. And while I was there, I met someone. Well, actually, I met a bunch of someones, but I'm just going to talk about this one particular someone that I met. And he was kind of an interesting guy, but he said something that I never forget. And he said that when he was 12 years old, he started praying for his future spouse. Wait a minute. Don't tell me this video is all about romance. Let's talk about romance a little bit. So anyway, he told me this, that he's praying for his future spouse when he's 12 years old. And I just remember thinking, whoa, I have missed the bandwagon because I am 14 years old. I'm 2 years late in praying for my future spouse. I'm just hoping that I didn't blow this thing. But, you know, I think God had a lot of grace. And so I started praying about daily for my future spouse when I was 14 years old. Now, I am 14 years old. Why would I do this? At 14, I barely liked girls, okay? I mean, I like girls, but I didn't really like them. Why would I do this? Why would I start praying for a future spouse? It felt important that I should be able to do this. And so I started praying. I didn't have any girl in mind when I had started praying, but I was just praying for my future spouse. And as the years went by, there was one particular girl that started coming more and more to my mind, and I was praying and praying about this one girl, and it started a journey that from the time I was 14 to the time that I actually got married, it was 10 years that had passed. And the one thing that I really learned through that whole process of starting to pray for my future spouse when I was 14 was starting to realize God's design and purpose for marriage at a young age. You really do become a man when you are 12, 13, 14 years old. And you have to start thinking about the future. Life is kind of a process and a journey. And so when I was 14 years old, it started taking me on this journey. And what I seen happen in my circles was that I think a lot of guys weren't prepared for marriage. And they would get married and they live passionate, vibrant lives before they got married. And then after they got married, their life was just completely turned upside down, and it was like they became a different person that was just only consumed with making sure that the bills get paid, making sure that life was comfortable, they were just settled down, and those things have to happen. Don't get me wrong, there is a big switch. I mean, I'm feeling that pressure right now as we speak, with just a lot of the bills and the new things that I have to take care of because I'm married. I'm not saying that at all, but it still does not become my primary focus, as my primary focus is still for the Lord and keeping that alive. I remember a particular time when I was maybe, I don't know, 16, 17 years old, and by this time the girl that was really on my mind, which now is my wife, I was just really struggling with being impatient. Like I wanted this to happen, and so I was praying, and I was taking a walk one day, and I just felt like I needed to surrender her to God, and so I needed to do something physical that could be kind of monumental, and I was just walking and couldn't really think of anything but to just grab a stick and write her name in the dirt road that I was walking, and just kind of as a monument to cement my surrender and saying, God, I am not going to let the fact that I'm 16, 17 years old put my life on a pause until I can get married. No, I surrendered her to God and said, God, I'm going to wait on your timing. I'm going to wait for you to open up this relationship. And so I surrendered it to God, and God opened the doors for me to go to Asia and to be involved in some pretty awesome things there. I realize that there may be some of you that won't ever get married, and going through that whole process is a journey in itself. The part about that is that if you don't end up getting married, it's the way that God wants to glorify himself through you the most. If you do get married, it's the way that God wants to glorify himself through you the most. The way that you discern that, the way that you figure that out is through prayer. And so I would encourage you to start praying. I don't want you to make it feel like you have to do this mushy-gushy, romantic thing, but it's simple. If you're 12 years old, or if you're 9 years old, or if you're 15 years old, you know what? You can still live a wild life and be praying for your future spouse. So that's all I have for today, and thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.